In January 2009, Tropicana changed its packaging. 2 months later, they changed it back. In between, they lost $30 million. That's the story everyone tells, but it's the wrong story. The $30 million wasn't the real cost. The real cost is the 15 years of design that never got made, the pitches that died in conference rooms, the creative directors who learned in their bones that the safest choice is the one that looks like everything else. Tropicana didn't just fail, it became the reason your favorite brand looks like every other brand. And nobody talks about that part. Welcome to the Threads of Culture, a show that unpacks design, branding, and the cultural forces shaping the global stage. Today, how one botched juice carton created a permanent culture of creative fear, and why the most expensive design failure in modern history is still costing us, right now, in work we'll never see. To understand what Tropicana destroyed, you have to understand what Tropicana had. For decades, the packaging carried a single image, a fresh orange with a straw punched directly into it. Not a glass of juice, not a pour shot, a straw in an orange. It was a visual metaphor so clean it bypassed language entirely. You didn't read a claim about freshness, you felt it. The image made a sensory promise. This carton contains something one step removed from the tree. And visual promises like that, the ones that lodge in the body before the brain catches up, are the most expensive assets a brand can own. They take years to build and seconds to break. In 2009, the Arnell Group broke it. They replaced the orange with a glass of juice. They rotated the word mark from horizontal to vertical, making the name harder to scan on shelf. They overhauled the typography, the color hierarchy, the entire visual architecture. They didn't redesign Tropicana, they erased it. Not a single thread of visual continuity survived. On a grocery shelf, surrounded by store brands and competitors, the new carton didn't look like Tropicana anymore. It looked like nothing. And nothing is what consumers reached past on their way to something they recognized. The financial collapse was swift. Sales dropped 20%. PepsiCo had spent $35 million on an ad campaign called Squeeze to support the launch. Money that now accelerated the wrong message. Consumer complaints flooded in through emails, letters, and the still emerging channels of social media. The language people used wasn't aesthetic, it was emotional. They called the new packaging generic. They called it store brand. They described something closer to betrayal than disappointment, as if Tropicana had broken an agreement they never consciously signed. Within 6 weeks, PepsiCo reversed the redesign, one of the fastest major brand reversals in consumer goods history. And in the silence after the reversal, something far more consequential took root. The case study entered every design school curriculum, every branding failure listicle, every client pitch deck where a nervous marketing director needed a reason to say no. Tropicana became shorthand, not for don't make bad design, for don't make change. That distinction matters enormously and almost no one makes it. What Arnell did wrong was specific and diagnosable. They stripped every distinctive brand asset simultaneously, replacing an ownable visual metaphor with a generic product shot, while altering the logo's orientation, typography, and color scheme all at once. The correct lesson was about preserving brand equity through continuity. The lesson the industry actually absorbed was simpler, blunter, and far more destructive. Don't be the person who approved the next Tropicana. A year later, Gap unveiled a new logo, swapping its iconic blue box for a Helvetica wordmark with a small gradient square. The internet backlash was instant. Gap reverted within a single week. The Tropicana playbook had become an industry reflex: outcry, panic, retreat. And with each repetition, the fear calcified further. By 2018, that fear had a name. Designer Thierry Brunfaux called it blanding, the systematic convergence of brand identities toward interchangeable minimalism. Burberry dropped its equestrian night crest for a clean sans serif. Balmain, Balenciaga, Saint Laurent, Celine all abandoned distinctive word marks for typography so similar you could swap the letters and barely notice. In tech, the same flattening. Airbnb, Google, Spotify, Uber, all trending toward rounded, friendly, weightless geometry. The functional argument was real. Sans serif logos render better on screens. Simplified marks scale across platforms. Globalization rewards visual systems that translate without cultural baggage. But function didn't explain the uniformity. Function doesn't explain why a French fashion house founded in 1946 and a San Francisco ride-sharing app arrived at the same typographic conclusion. What explains it is a risk calculus that shifted permanently after January 2009. Every CMO has a mental model now, a quiet question that surfaces in every approval meeting. What if this is our Tropicana moment? That question doesn't push toward bolder work. It pushes toward the mean. It pushes toward whatever looks like everything else, because everything else hasn't been punished yet. The same fear shows up in stray industry commentary. One anonymous comment on a branding blog, posted by someone claiming insider knowledge of Pepsi's culture, but never confirmed as an actual employee, put it bluntly. So many Pepsi folks still hold on to the scars of this experience and resist change to a fault. It impedes the ability to greatly elevate their brands. Unverified origin. Same sentiment the rest of the industry absorbed anyway. Tropicana didn't just haunt designers, it haunted the people who signed the checks. And the invisible cost of that haunting isn't bad design. It's good design that never gets approved, bolder concepts that die in research, distinctive identities that get smoothed into consensus before they ever reach a shelf. Somewhere, in a conference room no one will write about, a designer presented something genuinely original, and someone across the table said, "Remember Tropicana." Now here's the complication. Some brands did take bold swings after 2009 and survived. MasterCard went symbol only, dropping its name from the logo entirely. Dunkin' dropped donuts from its identity. Airbnb's 2014 BALO mark was mocked viciously at launch and became one of the most recognized symbols in tech. Each of these succeeded, but look closely at what they share. MasterCard kept its overlapping circles. Dunkin' kept its color palette and typographic DNA. Airbnb built a new symbol but maintained its visual warmth. Every successful rebrand since Tropicana has threaded the needle of changing while appearing not to change. Evolution disguised as continuity, which means even the bold moves confirm the lesson. You can change, as long as no one feels like you changed. In 2024, Tropicana didn't attempt a bold new redesign. It quietly shrank its bottles, from 52 ounces down to 46, without changing the price. Customers noticed immediately, and the press reached for the same 15-year-old comparison. Coverage explicitly called it a reopening of the wound Tropicana caused in 2009. Even the caution had a cost. The company that once terrified an entire industry into playing it safe couldn't quietly resize a bottle without the ghost of its own failure showing up in the headlines. So the next time you notice that your toothpaste looks like your bank app, which looks like your streaming service, which looks like the logo on your water bottle, understand that you are not seeing a design trend. You are seeing the architecture of institutional fear. An entire industry learned that the punishment for being distinctive is swift, public, and quantifiable, while the punishment for being forgettable is silent, slow, and invisible. And silent losses never make the case study. Here's the question I want to leave with you. Think about a brand you loved that recently redesigned into something flatter, simpler, stripped of whatever made it theirs. Did you feel a flicker of loss? And did you say nothing because the new version was too inoffensive to object to? That silence is how blanding wins. And I think you already knew that. If this changed how you see the sameness on every shelf and screen around you, share it with the designer in your life who's been fighting that sameness alone. Until next time, this has been The Threads of Culture.